Under HR 5, parents who choose not to subject their child to puberty-blocking drugs, cross-sex hormones, they could have their children removed from their custody. Under this legislation, making that rational decision not to inject your child with these drugs and blockers, which can lead to brain damage, sterilization, and increased risk of cancer, is considered child abuse. Is that really where we've come to? Under this Democrat regime, which controls Congress, the arrogance of the radical left will lead them to try to regulate and control every aspect of your life, including how you gender your children.
So the protocol, which developed in the Netherlands, has two phases. The first phase, at the young adolescent age, is to give what are called a pubertal blocker. You give a medicine to block the progression of puberty, so you don't go through the wrong puberty. And then to continue some counseling. And then somewhere between 14 and 16 years of age, to start slowly cross-gender hormones. And they have to go through puberty. Puberty doesn't happen, it's going to take years. So you start low doses, you gradually increase, so that they never go through the wrong puberty. That way, for a transgender woman, male to female, their voice doesn't drop, they don't have hair, they don't have to have electrolysis. For a transgender man, they don't have breast development that will need surgery, they don't have periods, etc. So you block puberty, and then you can, at the appropriate time, send them through the puberty consistent with their gender identity. Does that make sense?
The California Department of Education moving forward with changes to the state's health and sex education framework, a change that will now encourage teachers to talk about gender identity, among other topics, with kindergartners.
California Department of Education unanimously approved new guidelines for elementary school grades. The guidelines are about sex trafficking, sexual orientation, and how to support transgender and LGBTQ students.
The new health and sex education framework tells teachers that students as young as kindergarten can identify as transgender and offers tips on how to talk about different identities.
The kindergartners came home very confused about whether or not you can pick your gender, whether or not they really were a boy or a girl.
The information our state board seems to want to give our 3rd and 4th graders is too graphic to be shown on the nightly news.
Using close-up illustrations of children's and adults' private areas that would be shown to kids starting in 3rd grade, other books included topics such as gender fluidity, body changes, and guidelines to sexuality.
My daughter went home crying, shaking, so afraid that she could turn into a boy.
In general, how do you feel about sex education in schools for your 7-year-old daughter?
What does this look like in the classroom? I mean, some people might be watching this right now and saying, oh, but children in grade 1 or 2 are too young to be learning about sexual orientation. What does this look like in that kind of, in a classroom? How do you talk to children about this? What does it look like?
I don't think that children are too young in grade 1 or 2 or kindergarten or when they're 3 years old. I think that children actually are very resilient and completely open-minded and non-judgmental.
Answer me why you're teaching pedophilia in school to 9th graders.
Teaching what?
Pedophilia, pederasty, right here.
Pederasty, as I discussed with you before, twice in my office when you come to view the materials, I've explained to you that this is done because we are talking about historical perspectives of how gender relations and different types of sexual orientations have existed in history. So this is something, something that's occurred in history, and so this is really important for us to include. Right.
Cheers for Drag Queen Story Hour at the Eagle Rock Library. It's what the name promises, drag queen reading stories to children in libraries, schools, and bookstores. Pickle says she couldn't wait to read to the kids. She says Drag Queen Story Hour is a literacy program. The goal is to get kids excited about books, and particularly books like gender fluidity and or about gender fluidity and giving kids queer role models.
All right, so this is the last book that we're going to read. It's called This Day in June. And I love this book because every time I read it, I get more and more excited about the big Pride Parade. Who's been to the Pride Parade before? It's on June 30th this year downtown. It's always a great time. I will definitely be there. I hope to see all of you there.
Now, does anybody in this room know how to twerk? All right, well, it's quite important to the story, so I will just give you a very quick demonstration. All you need to do is you just stand with your feet sort of shoulder width apart, like so. Okay, and I'll show you at the side so you get a better view. There we go. Then you crouch down into this sort of position here, so your bum's sticking out. I hope you're taking this all in. And then you just move your bum up and down like that, and that's twerking.